Hey everybody, this is Maniac for Bricks. I just got back from seeing the Lego Batman movie on February 9th, 2017, and this was actually really enjoyable. I really had a fun time from start to finish with this movie. I did like some of the sentimental parts and the moral that they were trying to convey. It's actually done pretty well throughout the movie itself in a couple of different scenarios and different characters. Now, I will warn you that because this video is exclusive, I am making a special warning here. Spoilers will be ahead, if I didn't already put that up there enough as it is. But this is basically a video to provide the answers for what I asked earlier in the week on the Brick Theorist channel on YouTube. Check out more on there. Link in the description and in the comments down below. So, aside from also answering those questions, because I know everyone's going to see the movie, and if you already saw that video, you probably know, what the answers will be. But, I'm not really sure entirely who this video is for. I guess it's like if you didn't see that video and you were just curious about what I thought about the movie and those were like the things I was looking forward to, there you go. These are some of my answers to the questions I posed earlier in the week. Now, I actually wrote up an entire script of 6 things to look for in the Lego Batman movie. I wrote it up a day or two before recording this video, before watching the Lego Batman movie. Unfortunately, I didn't get it edited in time to actually post it up on YouTube, so I thought at this point, I already know what's in there, but I'm going to go over some of those things in this video. If you would like to hear some of that stuff in its actual scripted form, I will post a separate unlisted video about that as well. Maybe a link in the description below. So, let's go over the questions first, and, look, there are going to be a whole bunch of disappointments on my end as far as answering these questions, but I did overthink on a lot of different things, so it's okay that they weren't all answered the way I was expecting them to be, and also, it just wasn't going to be enough time to really fit that all in the movie for like the hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes or so that the movie ran. So, I still got to see a lot of cool stuff. I really appreciated what was in there. I thought this was a good follow-up for the Lego movie and good as a standalone movie. You could watch this without watching the Lego movie and still get what's going on. You don't even have to know that much about Batman to understand what's going on. You don't even have to brush through the entire, oh, my parents died, and Dick Grayson's an orphan because such and such. No, it doesn't give any it doesn't give anybody's origins whatsoever throughout the entire movie. It's kind of going in the aspect of, if you don't know Batman, you don't really need to know Batman for this movie. It gives its own spin on Batman and plays with some of those jokes about older Batman movies throughout the film. Actually kind of surprising towards the end for one of the jokes that just lasted in the beginning, and I thought it was just going to be like, okay, we've settled that. But, anywho, number 5. Why does everyone except Robin have a belt piece? This movie did not answer that question. I didn't really expect it to. This was more of my kind of quote-unquote cinema sin. And I don't really think they're going to answer that. It's actually kind of strange. When I was watching the movie, and even some of the trailers show this too, if you see along the line of all the different costumes that Robin goes through to pick out his costume, you actually see a whole bunch of those have printed belts on them as well. So I don't really know if there's supposed to be an in-universe explanation for this. There you go. That's really all there is. It's just kind of like, not necessary to know it. Moving on. Number 4. How much will the Justice League be involved with the plot? Actually, very little. There's almost nothing that the Justice League did that we didn't see outside of the trailers. You see them in like a big party room in the Fortress of Solitude. That's it. That's the only role they play. They don't help with fighting the bad guys. They don't help with anything else in the movie. You only hear Superman mentioned a little bit before and a little bit after that scene. But in general, even he doesn't do anything before and after those scenes. So I was kind of disappointed in that aspect because I thought, hey, maybe we'll get them to do stuff. And even in the trailers, they show a scene where you have Batman in the front and the rest of the Justice League along the sides running through a hallway. That's not in the movie at all. So if you're expecting more of the Justice League in this movie, obviously they didn't happen. Number 3, will every Lego set from the theme be represented brick for brick? it was actually really darn close. From what I remember of the sets and how I remembered their representation in the movie, there were a lot of them that were represented, but a couple of them that were shortened. A lot of the $20 sets that you get with, like, or, you know, the ones I mentioned in the video were like the Bat Cave and the bomb for the Joker balloon escape. Those are shorter versions of what is in the movie. Obviously, the Bat Cave is just like enormous. It's so big. There's so many vehicles in there, and there's so much computer technology. There's no way they could pack that into a set. Even the Disney castle would dwarf in size compared to the Bat Cave that they had in the movie. I actually mean that. Other than that, you know, a lot of the $20 sets where you can combine them together and get like this Gotham Electric, Gotham Energy, whatever it's called, you know, setup. Also shortened versions of what's actually in the movie. You do see something like it for especially the Scarecrow's part of it, but, you know, the vehicles are probably the most authentic part. You don't see Mr. Freeze outside of the mech, so I guess it's supposed to give the impression this is just him. I don't know. But he's always in the mech in the movie. I thought there would be some point where it's like, oh, the mech breaks and he just has to run or something else like that. But it's just kind of enjoyable that we have him as a minifigure instead of, you know, just a buildable mech like Clayface. Nothing against Clayface. I think that's appropriate for who he is. But I do like the minifigs. So, other than that, Arkham Asylum, also much smaller than in the movie. Again, it's so enormous, there's so much to it, but for what the set actually covers, it makes a lot of sense. You get your jail cells, you get your x-ray machines, you get this little basketball court, because there is a short clip or two where they are playing basketball, if I remember correctly. The Phantom Zone polybag was in there, but I don't think it was the same size as what we saw in the movie. I'm pretty sure that the robot that's in the Phantom Zone set. First of all, it doesn't take place in the Phantom Zone. It takes place with the guarding the item, the Phantom Zone camera or whatever you want to call it. It's guarding that. But the ones I saw in the movie, I don't remember them being that size or those pieces. It seemed a lot larger when it was shown on frame. Even I think a few clips on YouTube show Robin going through and getting the Phantom Zone camera. As far as any other sets, for what I know right now, a lot of the vehicles, pretty much one for one in detail. Even the Bat vehicles, all the villain vehicles, and other polybags, really, like I said before, didn't really contribute to anything in the movie. And as far as all the different bat suits, you do see a bunch of them in the background, or as, you know, Robin goes through a whole bunch of them, but I don't think every last thing is shown. I know the tuxedo was in there, but you see it for only a little bit with this like montage, so it's not really something that's going to play a role in the movie itself. I'm actually looking at the collectible minifigure series right now. I don't recall all their expressions necessarily being used, but it's close enough for everything else. Number 2, how does this movie relate to the Lego Movie? It hardly does. There's honestly almost nothing that relates it to the Lego Movie, and for me, that disappoints, because I had done so much to say, this could line up, but it doesn't. The only things I could think of is, if you looked in the soundtrack already, you saw that there was a jazz version, a lounge version, if you may, of Everything is Awesome, recorded by Richard Cheese, and it sounds good. And it's only really played for like a couple seconds where you see an elevator inside of Arkham Asylum, Harley Quinn takes over the elevator, and that music is playing in the background. It's like, okay, that's noticeable. But with that being said, I do want to point out there were minifigures that had some recognizable logos that are not specifically Batman. They are from Lego and have been in the Lego Movie to some extent. So I want to say maybe, but I don't know. I just want to believe. So, like, in the beginning, I saw a couple of them. There was one guy with the conductor uniform in like a dark blue, and it had the train logo. That's what I recognized and said, okay, that's usually a Lego train logo. That's good. It's not necessarily exclusively for Batman. However, I think the same outfit was used in some of the Spider-Man sets from Spider-Man 2. So I don't know exactly how that works. There was a postman that had like a red torso, and he had like the little male logo that you would normally see. I don't recall if it's in some of the newer sets from like the past year in Lego City, but a lot of older sets had it. Like still in Lego City, but you know, a little ways back. But that was there. There was a minifig for that. And most importantly, probably most notably, there was a cameraman at the gala, if I remember correctly. It was at the gala after they arrested the Joker and all the other villains. There was a cameraman with the same exact torso as the Black Tron fan from the Lego movie. You remember him from the Lego movie set. You may have seen him in the Lego movie itself for one or two scenes. That exact torso is used on a minifigure. That has to be a connection of some kind. I don't even care if this is supposed to be some alternate timeline from the Lego movie or something like that. I kind of think it's still in universe because we have a whole bunch of sound effects that are just kind of mouthed. For example, like if you shoot a gun, it would go pew pew pew. You hear that throughout the movie. Or you go to a computer, you have like beep boop boop pop actually being said. So I want to think like, okay, maybe this is still in somebody's imagination, maybe a Finn's imagination, where he's still playing around with these sort of things, you know? So, again, nothing concrete, but I feel like they're kind of egging at it. Not necessarily Egghead. That was actually really fun to see the version of like the Lego version of Egghead in the movie for a little bit in the beginning. Number one, why do the Gremlins and Wicked Rich appear in the movie? That one is actually pretty part of the plot. So yeah, major spoilers for that. They are part of the plot along with Agent Smith from Matrix, a couple collectible minifigures. I've noted the vampire from Series 2, but there's also, I think it's either Series 2 or 3, the mummy, which has like kind of this green skin underneath his wrapping. The swamp creature from Monster Fighters. You also see Voldemort. You also see... This is kind of confusing. It's listed on IMDb as King Kong, and there's this other creature of a similar size, a similar construction in the movie. It's like a brick-built version in almost minifigure form of each of these characters. But I don't think it's King Kong like, you know, classic, you know, movies, King Kong, you know, that kind of thing. I think it's supposed to be the gorilla from Rampage. And the reason why I say that is because the other thing that I'm talking about, it's this large green lizard, has 4 arms, and is able to shoot fireballs. I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to be. I've heard one person say it's Cthulhu on Facebook, but I'm honestly not sure off the top of my head. I'm considering these two are probably in the same universe and are probably from Rampage. That would make a little bit more sense of things. I didn't really see anything or hear any sound effects that would, you know, be dead giveaways for that. But I'm not entirely sure. If you see the movie, let me know down in the comments below. I'm trying to remember who else I saw. There was some other things that were going on. Well, I did mention Gremlins, Wicked Witch, Winged Monkeys. I actually find that interesting. Some of the later sets for Lego Batman movie coming out later this year are going to have some of these figures in it. So they must be insinuating something. I really hope there's something there to connect it to Lego Dimensions, because, you know, they talk about it at first about all these being supervillains that are thrown into the Phantom Zone, like highly dangerous and things like that. They gotta be from somewhere. There has to be some connection to them, and it's probably just because Warner Brothers has the licensing for all of these characters, and maybe Lego with them has the licensing to use the minifigures or to use their properties, whatever it may be. Again, I'm holding out for something more, and I'm probably overthinking it. Alright, so let me just move on from here, and I'm going to talk about the 6 things to look for in the Lego Batman movie. These are just, you know, what I've listed before, but haven't actually put up a video. Number 6 I put was finding and naming all the bat suits. There are a lot of bat suits. You do see them whisk by pretty quickly, but I think for most part, you see them in the trailers and you get the idea. I it's kind of hard in the tuxedo scene because you see Batman spinning around going in and out of different tuxedos, so you can't get the full picture on every single one of those. And I find that's going to be a little difficult for me for when I make the Weekly Fact of Lego video coming up about Batman suits. I want to talk about tuxedos just in case it might have shown up in any continuities of Batman prior to this movie. But I'm really not sure off the top of my head if that's going to happen. I do like how many Batsuits that they show in there, even if it's in the background. So that was pretty nice. And I actually found it interesting, speaking of which, that the scene that you see in, like, the first trailer where, Batman tries to log in the computer and you hear, like, dun, 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 and Alfred shows up, that's actually in the movie. I thought that was just something they did for the trailers, but apparently no. So I actually found that interesting. They did that, and then they also had, like, a key up from that as a second thing, like a second special, like, dramatic reveal, so that was funny. In my opinion. Number 5, things to look out for the Lego Movie. I've already talked about that to full length. You don't even hear anybody. There is no mention of Bricksburg. There is no mention of the Man Upstairs. There's no mention of any other master builders. The only thing outside of Gotham City that they talk about is a town called Bloodhurt. And with the, like, Bludhurt or something like that, that Barbara Gordon trained at and got transferred over to Gotham. There's really not much else that they mention with it in the movie. There's not much shown about it. It's just not there. So, it's just interesting to know that there is another town, but we have no idea how that relates to the Lego Movie, how geographically it relates to anything. I tried to figure out just from, like, they had a pan out of Gotham. I'm really not sure off the top of my head where that is in relation to the Lego Movie. I'd have to look back at the map in the Lego Movie to see if there's anything worth gathering. Number 4, non-Batman DC superheroes and villains. They actually did have more than just the Batman supervillains in this movie, as I mentioned before, with the ones in the Phantom Zone. General Zod is not only mentioned, but he is freed and is part of the Uber, which is kind of like the Rogues, for Batman villains, but it's like extended stuff. It's like something from other franchises where, they put together King Kong as listed in the trailer, or as listed in the credits, it's called King Kong, but I don't know. King Kong, Voldemort, Agent Smith doesn't have a voice actor listed from what I remember, but I thought he did. He did say a few lines here and there, like little stuff, but I don't know. Maybe it counted under that subcategory of additional voices where you can't really discern who's who until, like, the commentary. So I guess I'll wait around for that. But yeah, we do see General Zod. Any other DC villains? Nope. No Lex Luthor, no Darkseid, nothing particular like that. No Doomsday. So number 3, yellow minifigures. It was tough to find anything that looked like a minifigure was yellow, especially as far as, a lot of the minifigures have, like, the flesh tone. So, they look brighter, they look, lighter, but the lighting around them is kind of hard to make out if they're supposed to be yellow or if it's just really bright or something like that. So, I'm going to have to forfeit on that one as well and just say, maybe not. I mean, just I'm sorry, I'm so sad. This is even sadder, or just about as sad as the fact that I saw the movie as the only person in the theater, and as I walked out, nobody else was in the theater. Nobody else was even, like, at the concession stands, nothing. I was alone in a movie theater after this movie was done. I don't know how, but it happened. And I was like, wow, you're driving home the loneliness real hard. Like, even if there's a scene in the Lego Batman movie where he's watching a movie by himself, I just looked around the theater and I'm like, oh, that's me too. I can strangely relate. Now, number 1 I mentioned was going to be the Lego Ninjago movie and some sort of subtle hint or drop of that. Now, it's really hard to say. I didn't really see anything that was, like, moving in the background, or it's a little hard to see if there was any, like, ninja maybe, like, dancing around or hiding somewhere. But anything that might have been a little bit closer to forward, it's a toss-up. you see, there was a speech that Barbara Gordon has at the gala when Jim Gordon is retiring, and she talks about the plans that she has for Gotham City. And she has like this 4-point program. I don't remember all 4 points, I just remember that one of them was ninjutsu. Specifically, it said ninjutsu. That's what made me think, oh, maybe she'll have something to do with Ninjago later on. I don't know. But there wasn't really any other, characters of Ninjago. Nothing else mentioned about Ninjago. I thought, but I haven't really confirmed this, I thought that when the Joker was coming back from the Phantom Zone, he said something about having other ninjas like him. And I could have misinterpreted that. It may have just said villains. Again, I was waiting for something about ninjas just to be a throwaway line, the way that Bat Submarine was a throwaway line. But I guess it's just by coincidence that Bat Submarine was mentioned in the Lego movie, and it just happened to appear in the Lego Batman movie. Maybe they just thought, oh, hey, that's something we could add in here. The way that they added in a Bat train and a Bat space shuttle and a Bat buggy. So, this has been, my analysis of the movie as far as my expectations versus reality. As far as the movie itself, I honestly recommend it. It is a great time. Some people have considered this as like the DC kid-friendly version of Deadpool, and I could say pretty much. I mean, you do have a couple changes here and there. There's not any extensive backstory, as I mentioned before. Nobody's origins are explained. You can go in this movie cold, knowing nothing about Batman, and maybe knowing a couple things about Lego, and you would still understand the movie. I think this works out pretty well in its favor. But for me, I was expecting a couple more things, and I did not get the questions that I wanted to answered, or even addressed, or answered the way that I thought they would be. So, yep. So, I will still be working on Lego Batman videos. I mentioned before, weekly fact of Lego video. It's going to be a factual video, actually a couple part video, where we'll tackle different Lego Batman minifigures and appearances and compare them to comic books and other Batman media from over the years to see, if there's any relations. I even found one out the other day that had to do with Batman the Brave and the Bold, which was pretty interesting. I mean, it's close. It's not 100% for all of these, but it's like, okay, there was something kind of like it before. So I'm okay with that. I'll let it slide. So look out for a video about that on the Brick Theorist channel. You can go there, subscribe, so you can get updates about when the next video pops up. You can ring the bell so that it'll tell you immediately, hey, this video's live. Go watch if you're available, or whenever you feel like it, like Bad Cop says. So, yeah, I'm gonna go head out now. I'm gonna work on that video series because it's gonna be starting off with Lego Batman movie. It'll go into DC superheroes, Batman stuff, etc. Maybe after that will be like Lego Batman games, the video games. Am I going to pick up the Dimensions packs for the Lego Batman movie? Maybe. I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna pick them up like immediately. But I do want to see what's in there as far as content. How do the characters interact with each other? Will the Batman from Lego Dimensions starter pack change if you put him in the Lego Batman story pack? That would be interesting. Or at least the interactions between them. It'd be like, why is he wearing a gray suit instead of a black suit or something? I don't know. Something like that. Some kind of acknowledgement that maybe this is a different Batman than the one we know. The way that Batman, mistakes Krusty the Clown as the Joker. That's a funny line. I thought that was kind of cool. So, yeah, there's a bunch of things to explore still. And I really hope for that because it's like, the thing's coming out the same day. If people buy Lego Dimensions, they will see the interaction of some of these characters. The Gremlins, Wicked Witch, maybe Rampage. I don't know if that's actually certain, though. And I thought, that would be cool if they make homage to it in either the movie or the video game about these relations. And maybe they will in the video game, which I actually do find surprising that you can play as some of the bad guys in Lego Dimensions. Not all of them, but not some of them. It's strange. Like, I've always thought that was weird that you could play as Wicked Witch, but I really do like her. She's like one of my favorite characters in the game. Abilities wise, works pretty well. I do like her appearance compared to other minifigures that are just like rehashes of what we've seen in sets. But, yeah, I guess I'm just gonna close out here. Sorry if this was a little longer than expected. I just wanted to get out everything about the Lego Batman movie. Please watch it if you're a Lego fan or a Batman fan. You are going to have a great time. Although, this movie, or this video just spoiled you, so I don't know why I'm recommending it if you already saw it. But I'd watch it again. I'd probably watch it like maybe 2 more times. So we'll see you next time with more videos. Again, subscribe at The Brick Theorist for more video content.